I got to address what everybody's been emailing me about and everything else. It's kind of my topic of today. I'm going to get to the Timothy Bradley fight a little bit later on the show. But I will say this. I saw a great improvement with Timothy Bradley. We were wondering what Teddy Atlas would have done or could have done in such a short period of time, 7-8 weeks, whatever he was working with him. But if you guys didn't notice it, I think you should go back and watch it, because the discipline part. Remember, we were saying, what's he going to do? Timothy Bradley has the skill. What happens with him? His weakness was getting, pretty much coaxed into a brawl, a phone booth type fight, which isn't really his strength. Moving around on his toes, using his hand speed, which he has. Is the secret for him, as far as I'm concerned. He's got a solid chin. He's not really a one-punch knockout artist, but he's definitely got some hand speed. We saw that on Saturday night. We saw a more disciplined Timothy Bradley. We saw a guy that started to get into the phone booth and then just stopped and reboot and did what he had to do. But obviously, Teddy Atlas is a very what's the word I should intense guy. I mean, is that a good analogy for Teddy Atlas? Is to say he's intense? Is that an understatement? But how about the fire? I mean, come on, the firefighter analogy. Okay, I mean, it's like first of all, Timothy Bradley's dominating fight. Did he lose one round? Maybe one round in the whole fight. I mean, maybe he loses one round in the whole fight. And he's dominating the fight. He's looking good. He's doing everything Teddy's saying. And in between that famous round, when Teddy Atlas started talking to him about firefighting, I mean, was that a classic? Teddy Atlas, his eyes bugging out, spitting all over Timothy Bradley. What do firefighters do? What do firefighters to me? What do firefighters do to me? What do firefighters do? And Timothy Bradley's looking at him. Fight fires, Teddy. What are they supposed to do? We extinguish fires. I go out there and fight that fire. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? I just, listen, all I know is this. If the going gets really tough, we can count on Teddy Atlas to really get things fired up, right? And at the end of the fight, I got one thing to say to you. I have one thing to say to you, Timothy. My man. It's like, what? That's the only thing you had to say? I mean, he couldn't say anything else. Hey, you did a really good job. You answered that firefighter question correctly. My man. But hey, all kidding aside, great job by Teddy Atlas. I, for one, have seen an improvement in Timothy Bradley, and I think now, granted, Brandon Rios was the perfect opponent for Timothy Bradley and Teddy Atlas, but let's be real, we got to give both Teddy Atlas and Timothy Bradley a lot of credit for fighting that fight and winning that fight. If you would have been listening to the Three Stooges doing the commentating, without the nauseating accolades for Andre Ward, can you really say that Andre Ward is the top pound-for-pound fighter? In case you missed it, Andre Ward has pulled out of the Miguel Cotto Canelo Alvarez. He was the co-main event. He pulled out of the fight, and the official medical reason was because he has a swollen knee. Even Roy Jones Jr. said, "I've run 2 days in a row, my knee swell up." I think it's a joke. It's a clear. I think one of the guys called in last week. I think it's a clear case of Andre Ward being the diva little girl that he is. He wouldn't. There's no way he wanted to be the co-main event. He probably thought in his effed up mind that he was going to become the new main event. Listen, Andre Ward is not the pound-for-pound number one fighter. In order to be the pound-for-pound number one fighter, you have to actually fight. You have to be a little more busy than one fight in 18 months against the slug. So I'm sorry, Andre Ward is not pound-for-pound number one. I can't even say that he's in the top 10 in the light heavyweight division. His last fight was a light heavyweight fight. Yes, he won, but his opponent was nowhere near a top 10 ranking. So, I mean, how do you get him in the top 10 in the light heavyweight division and let alone put him in at number one pound for pound? I'm sorry. That's clearly a corporate statement by all three of the commentators by giving Andre Ward all those accolades. And again, one last thing before we go to some of these emails. Listen, Roy Jones Jr. is a knowledgeable guy, one of the best fighters of all time, in my opinion, during his time, not now. People say, well, why are you so hard on Roy, man? Why are you so critical of Roy? I'm critical of Roy when Roy Jones Jr. always has to bring it back to himself. The one thing I give credit to Andre Ward about when he did the commentating, or at least the analyst position on HBO, every time they tried to make it about Andre, although Andre's kind of a boring speaker, he's a boring guy generally. You're not bringing Andre Ward to your party to liven it up. The bottom line is Andre Ward always brings it back to the fight that they're watching. He never puts even though he's a diva, he never talks about himself as much as Roy does. Roy started, y'all must have forgot. In case you younger guys don't know, he put out a song, y'all must have forgot. That was his song. So he's always referencing himself, and even during the Lomachenko. Now I'll admit, Lomachenko was clearly trying to emulate his idol, Roy Jones Jr., and he was doing a pretty damn good job of it during his fight. But I just get so frustrated with Roy when it's all about Roy. Roy should just concentrate on using his analytical ability and tell the viewers, something that, pertains to the fighters he's watching and analyzing, not compared to him, compared to whatever. They're keeping their hand down. They're not moving their foot right. Their movement's not right. Blah, 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 blah. That's what analysts do. Good analysts do that. They don't talk about themselves. They don't promote their own songs. They don't talk about their own career and their goals and everything, and that they're still wanting to fight and all that. Just all of that is Roy Jones Jr. I just don't think there's any call for it during a broadcast unless someone asks him a comparison from his career to whatever he's watching. So, no, we didn't all forget, Roy. You forgot that you're Roy Jones because you always refer to Roy Jones Jr. as Roy Jones Jr. when you're Roy Jones Jr. Whew, I need to take a break. When I